We are counting down the 11 most financially disastrous ways riders are destroying their own motorcycles, often without even knowing it. From daily habits that silently rack up multi-thousand-dollar repair bills, to overlooked choices that wipe out engines and warranties, each of these mistakes is a line item on your next shop invoice. Which sin is claiming the lifespans of bikes nationwide? Now, let us kick off the countdown with number 11. Every time you start your bike and hit the throttle before it has had a chance to idle, you are grinding metal. That quick blip, the one you think wakes up the engine, is actually stripping years off its life. On a cold start, oil pressure has not reached the top end yet. The cams and valves are running dry for those first crucial seconds. The result? Scored cam lobes, pitted journals, and that ticking noise you hope is just in your head. Mechanics see this all the time. Shiny grooves on camshafts, scuffed valve trains, and repair bills that start at $1,800 for a basic valve job. Modern engines are built with tight tolerances and rely on a full oil film to protect their most expensive parts. The ECU manages idle for a reason. It is waiting for oil to reach every surface before you touch the throttle. The fix is simple. Start the bike, let it idle for 60 seconds, and keep your hand off the gas. Patience here is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy. Pouring car oil or bargain bin blends into your bike is like tossing sand in the gearbox and hoping for the best. Most modern motorcycles run a shared sump system. Engine, clutch, and transmission all drink from the same oil. Use the wrong weight or skip the JSO MA or MA2 label, and you are inviting friction modifiers like moly to coat your clutch plates. The result is clutch slip, glazed friction discs, and a burning smell that means your next ride ends at the shop. Mechanics see this every week. Shiny, glassed-over clutch plates pulled from bikes after just a few thousand miles on non-motorcycle oil. Warranty claims get denied on the spot when labs find moly contamination. The repair bill? Expect $1,200 for a clutch job and do not expect sympathy. Saving a few bucks on oil means you are gambling with the most expensive part of your bike. Every oil change, check the bottle for JSO MA or MA2. That is the only insurance your engine, clutch, and wallet can count on. Holding the starter button and hoping for a miracle is a fast track to a dead bike and a lighter wallet. Modern starters are designed for short bursts. 5 seconds on, then a 15-second break. Ignore that, and you are cooking the starter motor, melting the solenoid, and draining your battery all at once. Mechanics have pulled apart starters so hot the plastic end caps warped and the windings fused. Flood the engine with fuel, and you are not just stranded, you are looking at $450 for a new starter and battery, plus labor. The fix is procedural discipline. Crank for no more than 5 seconds, then let everything cool for 15 seconds. 2 tries, then stop and check the basics. Kill switch, fuel, neutral. Brute force does not solve a fuel problem. It just adds electrical damage to your list. Every extra second you hold that button is money out of your pocket and another toe in your future. Leaving your bike with untreated gas in the tank is an open invitation for trouble. Ethanol-blended fuel does not just sit quietly over the winter. It pulls water straight from the air, turning your tank into a chemistry experiment. By spring, that fuel has broken down, forming sludge, varnish, and acids that eat away at metal and plastic. Injectors, fuel pumps, and filters end up coated in sticky brown residue. The first start of the season becomes a guessing game. Will it fire or just crank uselessly while the battery dies? Injector cleaning shops count on this. Every spring, repair logs fill up with bikes that will not run, all for the same reason. The invoice for a full fuel system flush and new filters lands somewhere around $500, and that is if you catch it early. Ethanol's water-grabbing habit is the culprit, and the fix could not be simpler. Add a fuel stabilizer before storage, run the engine for a few minutes to let it circulate, and fill the tank to the top to keep moisture out. Skip this, and you are not just risking a rough start. You are signing up for a costly repair that is entirely preventable. Filling your tank with cheap gas is a ticking time bomb for any high-compression motorcycle. Modern engines are designed to run on premium fuel, usually 91 octane or higher. Drop in regular 87, and you are not saving money. You are inviting pre-ignition, also called knocking. The engine's knock sensor will catch it, but the fix is not magic. The ECU pulls timing, strips away power, and dumps extra heat into the combustion chamber. Every ride on cheap gas means higher combustion temperatures, burnt piston rings, and carbon buildup that slowly chokes your valves. Mechanics see the aftermath every week: burnt valve edges, pitted seats, and scorched heads. The repair order is a full top-end teardown and valve job, with invoices landing at $2,200 or more. Riders try to blame the bike, but the ECU logs every knock event. It is all there in black and white. That $5 you saved at the pump just bought you a one-way ticket to the service bay. The manufacturer's octane rating is not a suggestion. Ignore it, and you are paying the price, one knock at a time. Every dashboard warning light is a direct order, not a suggestion. When the oil pressure light stays on, you have seconds, maybe 10, before metal grinds itself to dust. No oil pressure means nothing is separating your crank, bearings, or cams except hope and habit. Mechanics have seen engines seize solid in less time than it takes to pull over, leaving owners with a $2,700 teardown and a warranty slip stamped denied. The battery light is just as serious. Ignore it, and your charging system will fail without warning. 1 minute you are cruising, the next the bike dies mid-turn, leaving you stranded or worse. Every year, shop logs fill with bikes towed in after riders ignored a blinking warning. Each one a story of minutes lost and thousands spent. The instrument cluster is not decoration. It is your bike's life support system. When a red light flashes, stop the bike. Kill the engine and do not ride another foot until you know exactly what is wrong. Waiting or hoping for it to go away is gambling with your engine's life and your wallet. If you ride through a warning, you are not just risking a breakdown. You are volunteering to pay for a new engine, and no one is coming to bail you out. Bolting on a new exhaust or a high-flow air filter without touching the ECU is an open invitation for disaster. The stock computer map was built for the factory setup. Change the airflow, and you are running blind. Dyno runs from tuner shops show what really happens. Swap out the exhaust or intake, and your air-fuel ratio spikes lean, sometimes shooting past 15:1 at wide-open throttle. That means less fuel, more air, and a combustion chamber that runs hotter than it was ever designed for. Mechanics have torn down engines after just a few months of untuned mods and found exhaust valves torched to a crisp, piston crowns pitted, and spark plugs with melted electrodes. The invoice for that kind of damage is $3,400 for a top-end rebuild, and that is if the head is not warped. Manufacturers do not care how sweet your slip-on sounds. If the engine fails and they spot aftermarket parts with no tune, your warranty is dead on arrival. Every major brand spells it out. Any change in airflow or exhaust flow needs a custom tune, period. Skip it, and you are not just risking a little power loss, you are cooking your engine from the inside out, one full throttle run at a time. Neglecting your air filter is like running your engine with a sock stuffed in its mouth, or worse, a hole in its throat. Every ride, your engine inhales thousands of gallons of air mixed with dust, grit, and whatever else the road throws up. When the filter is clogged, airflow drops and your bike compensates by dumping in more fuel. The result is a rich mixture that coats your pistons and valves with thick, sooty carbon. Power drops, throttle response gets mushy, and your exhaust starts to smell like a lawnmower in need of help. Mechanics scrape black sludge off piston crowns and charge $900 or more for a decarbon service, all because an air filter that costs $20 was left to rot. A torn or damaged filter is even worse. Every grain of dirt that sneaks past turns your oil into liquid sandpaper, grinding away at cylinder walls and bearings. It is the fastest way to turn a healthy engine into a ticking time bomb. Most riders forget about the filter because it is out of sight, but the damage adds up with every mile. Checking or swapping your air filter takes 5 minutes and costs next to nothing. Ignore it, and you are gambling with your engine's lifespan. Regular filter checks are the cheapest, most effective protection you can give your bike. Do not wait for the loss in power or the bill from your mechanic to remind you. Adjusting your idle speed without checking the manual is like rolling the dice on your engine's survival. Modern bikes aren't built for guesswork. The factory sets idle at a precise RPM. usually between 1,100 and 1,400, because that is where the oil pump delivers just enough flow to protect every moving part. Drop the idle too low, trying to make the bike sound smooth or save a splash of fuel, and you are starving the top end. Oil pressure falls, flow drops, and the first thing to suffer is the camshaft and valve train. Mechanics have torn down engines with cam journals scored and bearings pitted, all because the idle was set 300 RPM below spec. The repair bill? Expect $1,500 for a top-end job, and that is if you catch it early. Crank the idle too high, and you are asking for a different kind of punishment. Extra RPM at stoplights means more heat, more fuel burned, and a cooling system working overtime. In traffic, high idle can push head temperatures up by 20 degrees Celsius or more, cooking gaskets and valves from the inside out. City riders who run 2,000 RPM at idle end up with carbon buildup, valve seat wear, and eventually a warped head or blown gasket. That is another $2,000 in repairs, all from a knob twist you thought was harmless. The right idle is not a suggestion. It is the minimum oil flow and maximum engine life, dialed in by engineers with a chart in one hand and a teardown report in the other. Check your manual, set it to factory spec, and leave it there. That tiny adjustment is the difference between a healthy engine and a silent bank account. Neglecting your bike's coolant is like letting acid flow through its veins. Modern coolant is not just colored water. It is a chemical shield, packed with anti-corrosion additives that protect aluminum, steel, and magnesium from eating themselves alive. But those additives do not last forever. After 2 years, the chemistry breaks down. The PEH drops, turning your coolant acidic. That is when internal rust and scale start to build up, slowly choking your radiator and water jackets with brown sludge. The flow drops, heat gets trapped, and superheated pockets form inside your engine. That is how you get a warped cylinder head, a repair that will run you $4,500 minimum if you are lucky enough to avoid a full engine rebuild. Dealerships. See the fallout every season. Cut open a neglected radiator, and you will find it half blocked with orange and white crust. Mechanics lay out cylinder heads warped so badly they look twisted. These are not rare horror stories. They are weekly realities. It does not matter if you ride a sport bike or a cruiser. Once the coolant goes bad, the damage is silent and invisible until the engine starts to overheat or the head gasket fails. Warranty claims for overheating get denied fast when the shop finds old rusty coolant or evidence of mixing types. All of this starts with skipping a $30 flush. Manufacturers and every reputable shop agree. Flush your coolant every 2 years, no exceptions. Ignore it, and you are gambling with the most vulnerable, expensive part of your engine. The difference between a cheap bottle of fluid and a $4,500 repair bill is about an hour of your time and the discipline to do it before it is too late. Trying to save a few bucks by taking a wrench to your own bike can cost you more than any other mistake on this list. Every repair shop has a stack of invoices labeled customer-induced failure. The most expensive jobs do not start with a blown part. They start with a stripped bolt or a cross-threaded spark plug. One shop's invoice shows it in black and white. A routine valve adjustment of $900 doubled to $1,800 after the owner cross-threaded the plug hole. That extra $900 is the surcharge for damage you caused yourself. Mistiming your valves is even worse. Miss a single mark and the engine will not just run rough, it can seize solid. Mechanics see it every riding season. A home valve job gone wrong, pistons slamming into valves, and an engine that is now a paperweight. The repair bill balloons from a $600 adjustment to a full rebuild, often topping $3,000. And when you bring in a box of parts and a half-finished bike, most shops tack on a $1,600 rescue surcharge before they even start. That is the price for fixing someone else's mistakes. Every pro mechanic has a horror story. Spark plugs hammered in with the wrong socket, oil filters cross-threaded until they leak, clutch assemblies missing springs or installed backwards. The tools you need for these jobs are not cheap. Precision torque wrenches, dial gauges, specialty pullers. Factory service manuals read like a foreign language if you are not trained. The margin for error is razor thin, And the cost of a mistake is always more than the money you thought you would save. Simple jobs like oil changes, chain lubes, and brake pads are fair game if you know what you are doing. But if the job calls for a torque spec or a timing mark, pay the professional. The surcharge for DIY disaster is real, and no one gets a discount for good intentions. The cheapest insurance for your bike's future is knowing when to step back and let an expert do the work. Across all 11 entries, one truth stands out. The real damage isn't sudden. It's the slow, invisible wear of bad habits and outdated advice. Every shortcut, ignored warning, or cheap fix is a silent drain on your wallet and your bike's life. In motorcycle ownership, precision isn't optional. It's survival. The cost of neglect isn't just money, it's the ride itself.